how do you reconcile, well, this is like the classical theological question. How do you reconcile humans' free will with the foreknowledge and preemptive plan of God?
Well, yes. If the future is not malleable, if we are not in control of our own destiny, how can we be responsible for our actions? But if the future is not fixed, then how can even a god know the end of the story? Holy contradiction, Batman! Let's do this!
BionicDance!
Greetings, fellow space travelers, BionicDance here. As far as we've been able to show, there is no free will, but I can get you a coupon for 20% off at participating retailers.
Let me put it a slightly different way. I hear it this way. So tell me if you hear it this way too. Okay, so you're saying that as a theist, that under atheism...
Yes, I'm operating under the theistic perspective. But
so under atheism, we would say, well, there really isn't any free agency, and even atheists will admit this, some will, like Sam Harris will admit that there's no free agency, that all of the things you think you're thinking are actually just neurons that are firing in your brain, and they're firing at the behest of prior neurons that are firing over which you had no control.
First of all, it's not an atheist thing. It might be a secular thing because it's not filtered through a theistic bias, but that doesn't mean it's part of some atheistic dogma. Also, I have a lot of disagreements with Sam Harris's political views. Forewarning, this video isn't about that, and I'm going to ignore any comments that demand I elaborate. But in this instance, I think he's bang on. We definitely agree on this point.
Because all we have is a set of physical, that's called event causation, not agent causation. And so I would say, well, if that's true, then we don't really have that kind of free agency. On the flip side, though, he might say, well, look, you theists believe that God is in complete control and has all that power, and therefore you have no free agency either. Everything has been preordained. God knows the future now.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Christians kind of hamstrung themselves by trying to say that their God has a bigger dick than anybody else's God. When they came up with the idea of a God, they made him too powerful. Look at God's gun show. If God was either not all-knowing or not all-powerful, this problem goes away. If God could screw up, this all stops being an issue. And now, for thousands of years, apologists have been trying to retcon this problem, and they're doing a lousy job of it.
Well, there's a couple of things I would say about that. Number one, that is an ageless debate amongst Christians, and there are several camps of Christians who hold different views on this unbelievable relationship between God's sovereignty and our free agency. I'm probably not going to solve that quagmire for you tonight. But I will say this, the fact that God might know the outcome of a game does not mean he's controlling the people in the game.
Fair point, but that still doesn't mean we have free will. Even if a God doesn't exist to control us, it doesn't mean we have free will at all. Nature is what appears to be pulling our puppet strings.
Under these two options, a universe that is created and governed by a divine being, or a universe that is really created and operated under physics, only one has the possibility of free agency.
Does it, though? Yeah, if we live in a world where nature is all that exists, and we, ourselves, who we are, is a byproduct of the functioning of a brain which is a slave to physical laws, then free will is indeed an illusion. But how is that any different than a universe where a God exists? He is characterizing the absence of free will under a religious system as being controlled by God. Whether he means that God is moving us around like video game characters, or that God set nature in motion and is just watching it go, isn't exactly clear, but it sounds like he means the first one. But this misses the truly important question. What does it mean to have free will in the first place? How would a world with free will look different from a world without free will? Can we agree that nature seems to follow patterns, that if an event were to happen once, and then it happened again under exactly the same conditions without interference, it would happen exactly the same way as it did before? Is that a reasonable description of how nature functions? If so, then riddle me this. If we are natural organisms that are subject to those same laws, if our brains, which dictate our behavior, will behave according to the laws of nature, then how can free will exist with or without a God? For us to have free will, we would need the ability to break nature, to subvert natural laws. We would have to be supernatural, paranormal, magical beings that can jump the tracks of nature's patterns and reshape the very fabric of reality itself. That is what free will would look like. And if you believe we have that power, I'd like to talk to you about a possible real estate venture in New York City regarding a certain bridge.
Physics could never decide to let go of the process. But a being, an all-powerful being, could let go of the process. Why? How? That's under theological debate. But the point is, there is no debate on the other side. There is no way to get it on the other side. So of these two options, I'm willing to stand over here where I'm not quite sure how that really works, but I know it doesn't work over there.
What he just said is pretty tangled, but it sounded as if he's presupposing that free will exists before he decides whether religion or science is getting it right, which is, cheating. If that's not what he meant, well, then I have no rebuttal. Not because I'm wrong, but because he's bad at this. Either way, I'm out. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. He's characterizing the absence of free will under tongue-tied. Captain's log. We are investigating an asteroid field where we've had reports of strange signals. So far we've found nothing, but our reconnaissance continues.
Captain, unidentified object approaching.
Scan object.
Aye, scanning object.
Captain, the object appears to be bombarding us with Patreon particles.
Is there any damage?
None. In fact, it seems to be giving us even more strength.
Fascinating. It seems that Patreon beams are a benefit to our mission. We must seek out more Patreonic life forms. Plot course and prepare to engage Bionic Drive. Well, whoever that is, she's gotta get by us. Go get her, Sandra! Schmoozer the Schmoozerian? Good evening. As a duly designated representative of the YouTube channel BionicDance, I order you to cease any and all trolling activity and return forthwith to your website of origin or to the nearest convenient internet site. That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Sandra. Do you believe in God? No? Then subscribe! Sandra, when someone asks you if you believe in God, you say, wait, actually you got that right. Never mind.